Dad.
Today,
So we're talking about a short story by Courttia Newland from his collection called Cosmogramma. But first...
we recently had a very important meeting at TBODAS, if you don't know what that stands for.
We're calling it Tabodas.
Yes.
Tabodas Towers.
Yes, Tabodas Tower, regarding some changes to how we run the episodes. So Gareth from marketing has been crunching the numbers and said...
Your episodes are too long, guys.
And Maureen from digital strategy said, no one wants to listen to you talk about how you hate John Hammond from Jurassic Park for 45 minutes.
So Sybil and I had to reluctantly agree with Maureen and Gareth. And so we've decided to go back to our original episode length, and when we tackle bigger books, to do less detailed synopses, but we promise the same amount of irreverent tangents. So more interesting chatter, less general chatter.
That's the funniest part.
Yeah, well, no, we're not getting rid of the tangents by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, that would be way too hard. All right, so yeah, this is not an ad. We aren't getting any. We aren't getting any pennies, but we love this collection so much. I'm gonna class this as an ad.
This is a hashtag ad.
Yeah,
It's not really. We're not getting any sort of pennies for this because we're a tiny podcast in our own kitchen.
Yes.
But we read this on holiday, didn't we? We kind of swapped back and forth between the stories and everything that we've read so far. I think we're about halfway through the collection.
I'm a bit more on that.
Yeah, I think you've skipped ahead a little bit. Everything that we've read so far is really top notch. So the story that we've chosen is Seed.
It's my favourite of what I've read so far.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So it begins with a massive storm, which lasts for ages, and after the storm clears, there are billions of small purple seeds covering the earth. Our story focuses on an artist called Dapo living in London with his wife Misra and his young son Aye. One of the things that I really enjoy about all of this, and what I think is one of the best things about it, this is the first bit of Newland that I've ever read, but immediately what I was struck with was how well he writes the families, and even in these really short stories gives us a really quick in to becoming emotionally attached to them.
So each person's picked up a seed, and Dapo's son said that the seeds talk to him, which suggests that the seeds are looking to be held by a person. And I'd find that very disturbing, because the seed is is usually an inanimate object.
I think I'd find it more.
I mean, kind of. It's a seed.
It's not chatting to you, is it?
It grows.
Yeah.
But it doesn't talk.
I think what would be more, it's quite chilling when it's said in the book by IA, and it's really actually I think it's the only time that it mentions it. But the little kid tells his dad that the seed is talking to him, and I'm just imagining like your little brother, my youngest son, telling me that the seed is talking to him and going, ugh, that'd be scary.
Yeah, and so the seeds start to sprout very... so our main character doesn't know why he picked it up, and this seems the same for Misra, his wife. So the seeds start to sprout very quickly, growing at a rapid rate. There are news reports of people who tried to get rid of them becoming horribly injured.
Yeah, so we get some news reports from, I think in the story, from the US of people with these really strange unexplained injuries. We have our first little jump forward in time. Dapo's meeting his neighbour, whose husband tried to burn one of the plants and is now covered in burns and bedbound. People now have a clearer idea that the plants seem to be linked to people in some way, because the plants grow to create like a plant-like copy of the people that they've been in physical contact with. So even though the neighbour knew that this was the case, I think he got to the point where he was really freaked out and he was like, I just have to get rid of this plant. But the injuries that you...
What if you put it somewhere else? Just threw it away. Would you feel that pain if you threw it somewhere?
Yeah, I guess it seems to transplant any injuries that the plant gets onto you, because they don't...
What if a wild animal attacked it?
I guess you've got nothing... You can't really help that, can you? But there seems to be a suggestion that they're controlling people through pheromones, so releasing scent, because at the end of the story, Dapo talks about the smell of the perfume. So I think there's scents that are being given out, which I guess would probably put off animals.
Yeah, so if you get another cut to the family trying to escape to London to get away from the plants, who now look like them even more because it describes it in a really good way. So Dapo's plant is like it looks like his face, and it keeps on getting closer to him.
Yeah.
As he moves to the car.
So it seems to be the plants are slowly moving. They're becoming less like plants and more like humans. And there's movement, and there's also some people that we find out that people who've touched their plants have suddenly disappeared. They feel like they've left it too late to try and get out of London. They get stuck in really awful traffic. Also, the plants can move, and they go after their human counterparts. So in our last scene, they're living out of their car. They can't get, everybody's trying to get away from where they live, and so all of the roads are massively clogged up, and they're basically hidden in a field. They've been moving around for weeks. Dapo basically doesn't sleep anymore. Misra and Aya are asleep in the back, and he's just like describing his sense of panic and fear, and it's really visceral. I found it quite upsetting to read, to be honest, because it was done so well. So yeah, really impactful. And then he gets hit by this massive waft of perfume, and he knows that the plants are there. And then the story ends. He throws his head back and he starts to wail. Yeah, like a lot of the ends of these stories, not a lot of them end with any sort of hope. It's quite sort of dark and bleak stuff.
Yes, it's chilling, but it's really well written. So in a way that the human connections are portrayed, which ultimately makes it more emotional when our characters are going through it.
And they go through it. Like, there's a lot of these stories in the rest of the collection where these characters are really going through it.
Yeah, so Newland is really good at finding ways to interconnecting his characters in a short space of time because these are short stories, but
you feel the characters don't feel throwaway or just situational at all. You do feel a real. I don't know if it's this one, because I think that the way that IA was described reminds me a lot of my youngest son. In that portrayal of kind of like a very energetic toddler. So I felt that particularly. So well, I mean, I don't think there's going to be any surprises in our ratings, but where do you put this?
5.
So it's a 5 out of 5. And
for people my age, I don't really know.
I think if you are your age and a very confident reader and somebody who has read a lot and is kind of already into their sci-fi type stuff anyway, I think this would be a fairly good read.
Yeah, but for most people in my class, they're not.
Maybe not. I think this is a fabulous book. How would you rate it against the other stories in the collection that we've read so far?
I think it's my second favourite.
Yeah. We might do another one of these, but really I don't want to go ahead and spoil all of these, because I would genuinely recommend that you go and read it. This was sent to me. This is another sort of thing of guilty dad not being very good at reading. I remember getting sent this by my cousin, who is still a very good reader. We're about a month apart in age. They've managed to keep their reading alive, whereas mine sort of died in a ditch somewhere some time ago. So they sent me a copy of this book, I think 3 maybe 4 years ago. I think we will probably do at least one other of these, but I would genuinely say to go out and read this, because it is really all of the stories that we've read so far are incredible. So hopefully we will stick to it this time with our slightly shorter episode formats, and hopefully that's been a little bit more accessible. But let us know with all of that wonderful sort of engagement. Once again, I'll go carrier pigeon. If you could send me a carrier pigeon, but Sybil, you might be able to reach her through the comments. Yeah, excellent. Right, well, we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Literature